Good evening, and it's great to start another week with all of you at home. And what a year this has been, a once-in-a-century pandemic. So many American families affected. And tonight we find ourselves on the eve of a historic election and early turnout we have not seen before, fueled by voters who want to vote safely in this pandemic and who want to make sure their votes count. Tomorrow, millions more will go to the polls. President Trump and Joe Biden crisscrossing the key battleground states today. President Trump holding 5 rallies in 4 states today, all states he won 4 years ago, hoping to win them again. Energized by the size of his crowd, saying this does not look like a second-place finish. Joe Biden, meanwhile, in Ohio and in Pennsylvania, hoping to rebuild that so-called blue wall that collapsed for Democrats 4 years ago. Talking up his Scranton roots, where he grew up as a boy, his working-class roots, calling on voters there to end a presidency that's divided the nation. More than 97 million Americans have already cast their ballots. That's more than 70% of all votes cast 4 years ago. And tonight, the numbers. Our partners at 538 with the average of the national polling showing Joe Biden nationally with an 8-point lead. As you know, though, it all comes down to the key battlegrounds, one of the most crucial states this time, as it always is, Pennsylvania, where tonight Joe Biden with a slim but steady lead, the 538 average there in Pennsylvania, ahead by just under 5 points tonight. Of course, there's no way to predict what will happen tomorrow night, but there are quite a few pathways both campaigns are studying. So tonight here, we're going to carefully guide you through them right here. We begin with our chief White House correspondent, Jonathan Karl, leading us off with the president's final push.
President Trump may be down in the polls, but he's looking confident and predicting victory.
This does not look like a second-place finish.
He's making a frenzied final push, one rally after another, drawing some of his biggest and most enthusiastic crowds.
We have 5 of these today, 5. We have some big ones. Thank you. Thank you.
It extends beyond the rallies. In New York, Trump supporters took over the Mario Cuomo Bridge. In Texas, they menaced a Biden campaign bus on the highway. The FBI is now investigating, but the president praised his supporters.
Do you see the way our people, they were protecting his bus yesterday because they're nice.
In the final hours of the campaign, the president is barely mentioning the pandemic. And he's lashing out at Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's leading expert on coronavirus. Fauci told the Washington Post Joe Biden's campaign, quote, is taking it seriously from a public health perspective. Trump, Fauci said, is looking at it from a different perspective, the economy and reopening the country. In Florida on Sunday, the president responded to chants of "Fire Fauci" by suggesting that's exactly what he'll try to do after the election.
Fire Fauci, fire Fauci. Don't tell anybody, but let me wait till a little bit after the election.
In a year where early and mail-in voting have shattered records, the Trump campaign is counting on a big Election Day turnout operation, building on those crowds at his rallies.
Tomorrow you have the power to do so much for our country. You have the power to vote. So go out and vote. Unless you're going to vote for somebody other than me, in which case, sit it out. Don't worry.
Confident or not, the president is still making totally unfounded accusations that the election is being stolen from him.
Especially when you know what goes on in Philadelphia, and it's been going on for years. So, Governor, open up your state, and please don't cheat, Governor. Please don't cheat.
But Pennsylvania's top election official has urged voters, quote, not to be distracted by the hype or the disinformation. Pennsylvania doesn't even begin processing its mail-in ballots until tomorrow. It's expected to last for several days.
I think it's a terrible thing when people or states are allowed to tabulate ballots for a long period of time after the election is over.
But today, Ohio's Secretary of State, a Republican, told ABC's Powerhouse Politics podcast that the counting always continues until every vote is counted, a process that takes time.
The election night results are never final. That's not the way that elections work.
President Trump has invited some 400 guests to the White House tomorrow to watch election returns. Today, barriers are going up, walling off the complex to the world outside.
So let's get right to Jonathan Carl with us live tonight. And John, we have heard the president demand that we know the election results tomorrow night on election night. But across the country, as you pointed out right there, elections officials are pushing back, saying that's not the way the system works. It's never worked that way. Networks make the projections, as we all traditionally remember, but that the states always continue counting. And after election night, at some point, they certify the results. This year, of course, it's magnified because of the millions trying to vote safely and early in this pandemic.
David, the fundamental principle of American democracy is that every vote counts. And as the Ohio Secretary of State, who is a Republican, told me today, they will take the time to count all of those votes just like they always do. David?
Which is why we are planning for a long night, perhaps several nights ahead, John. We'll see you here tomorrow night.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.